For this list, we'll be looking at the scariest and most pulse-pounding footage depicting people in dangerous situations where they could have passed away.
And the water was definitely pretty cold.
Which of these shocks you the most? Let us know in the comments below. For 1, mid-air collision. In 2013, something absolutely horrifying happened. 2 Wisconsin planes bearing skydivers collided in the sky. The unfortunate crash is captured on various helmet cameras, as is the startling aftermath. Multiple people spill from the planes as fiery debris and falling airplanes rain down around them. It spelled catastrophe, but amazingly, all 11 people, skydivers and pilots alike, survived the terrifying accident. A few were hurt a bit, but thankfully no one was hurt too severely. It's an amazing story of survival and quick thinking, and it makes for some truly intense footage.
Very lucky, very lucky. Yeah, anytime 2 planes collide in the air, I mean, it's a potential disaster for everybody involved, so we were all very lucky here.
Number 2, rehearsal gone wrong. Jonathan Goodman is a professional escapologist who found success on shows like America's Got Talent and its British counterpart.
Oh my God, no, you may fall. Hurry up!
In October of 2021, a camera captured him rehearsing for America's Got Talent Extreme. His stunt is incredibly ambitious, as it sees him hanging upside down in a straitjacket high above the ground. Meanwhile, 2 exploding cars are said to release and sandwich Goodwin if he doesn't escape in time. Something goes horribly wrong, and both vehicles collide into him. His injuries were extremely severe, and he ended up paralyzed from the waist down, but ultimately survived. He's since retired from stunt work.
I'm not down about it, to be honest, and obviously I've lost a huge amount, but I always say that, you as an able-bodied person, there are millions of things that you could do in your life that you'll never do, and you don't wake up sad about that. You get up and you think about the things you're going to do, and it's the same for me.
Number 3, plummeting to the ground. Paraglider Kevin Phillip was jumping in Organya, Spain, when things took a turn for the worse. Per his YouTube video's written account, the footage depicts him getting stuck in strong turbulence and falling directly into his paraglider. As he's tangled in the lines, Phillip is unable to activate his backup safety parachute. As a result, he simply plummets to the ground at high speed while trying desperately to free himself. With literal seconds to go before he hits the ground, he manages to deploy his rescue pack and lands without major incident. Number 4, going through ice. Frozen bodies of water are no joke. On a February evening in 2017, a large group of kids and teens ventured onto a frozen pond in Central Park. What they didn't realize, though, was that it wasn't solid and definitely unsuitable for standing on. As the friends played around, enjoyed themselves, and posed for selfies, the ice underneath their feet shattered, sending them into the freezing water. The harrowing clip shows them flailing around in desperation for a while. Thankfully, some witnesses then grabbed a ladder and helped them out. They subsequently received medical care and all recovered.
The NYPD tells us that those 7 teenagers and 2 Good Samaritans were treated at area hospitals and treated for mild hypothermia.
Number 5, collapsing onto subway tracks. A video from April of 2022 shows a man walking in Sydney's Redfern station when he falls onto the tracks. He hits the ground hard and reportedly loses consciousness. Some onlookers act fast and jump onto the active tracks in an attempt to save him. To make matters even worse, the train is scheduled to arrive any minute, so serious trouble is looming. Luckily, staff members waving red flags are able to alert the incoming vehicle.
Seconds that felt like a lifetime for people on the platform. The train grinds to a halt just centimeters from tragedy.
He gets pretty close, but manages to stop in the nick of time, just far away enough to avoid hurting anyone.
If the station person hadn't been there to wave the train driver down, then that would have definitely resulted in a fatality.
Number 6, inches from death. This man from India was quite literally inches from death. In some terrifying footage captured by a nearby camera, he can be seen riding his motorcycle onto an active train track. Soon he notices that a speeding train is barreling directly at him, and he both slams on the brakes and climbs off the motorcycle. The reaction was perfectly timed, as the train shatters his bike almost the second he gets off of it. Debris goes flying, and the man scrambles away from immediate danger. Though he probably got the fright of his life, he was physically unharmed and was able to walk away from the scene. Number 7. Sucked into a storm drain. It's scary just how fast things can go awry. This video was shot in Brazil and depicts a small group of people attempting to clear a storm drain. A young boy is suddenly grabbed by the strong current and sucked under the water, followed almost immediately by his uncle. The others scramble to help them, and the aunt filming the video can be heard panicking and screaming in fear. Things could have ended poorly, but thankfully, the storm drain quickly spits them out about 20 feet away. The boy clearly had the ride of his life as he raises his arms in victory. Number 8. Hazardous substance. Fentanyl was the deadliest drug of 2021 in terms of overdoses and is a leading synthetic in the opioid epidemic. On July 3, 2021, police trainee David Five-Eye of the San Diego County Sheriff's Department was at the site of a drug arrest. There has been some debate over what happened next, as just handling fentanyl cannot lead to an overdose. But while retrieving a bag from his evidence kit, Five-Eye placed his face close to where he'd been testing bags of fentanyl and methamphetamine. In the video, he goes rigid and collapses to the ground. His training officer, Scott Crane, quickly grabs some nearby packets of naloxone, which is used to offset the drug and save people's lives. Fortunately, Five-Eye survived, but it is a disturbing video nonetheless. Number 9. Caving in Cascade.
Just chill out, James. Just relax, man. It's all good.
On December 5, 2015, spelunker Andrew Minaz and some friends visited a cave system on Vancouver Island called Cascade. Their harrowing ordeal was captured on camera and released as the short documentary Caving in Cascade, a story of survival. At one point, explorer Jason Story gets trapped in a confined passage filled with freezing water, and his body remains submerged for nearly half an hour.
This way, towards me. Come towards me. Head up. Towards me. Stuck.
Once he was freed, Minaz realized that Story was in a deep state of hypothermia. They also couldn't escape the cave owing to the high levels of water and its strong pressure. Luckily, the water receded early the next morning, and this brief window allowed them to make it out by themselves.
Right on, Andrew. Cheers, guys. Slow it down, guys. Okay, all teams, subject is out of the hole.
Incoming avalanche. In this clip, hiker Harry Shimon is met with a terrifying sight, that of a massive cloud of white barreling down the mountain toward him. Simon was walking through Kyrgyzstan's Tian Shan Mountains with a larger group when he peeled off solo. Soon he was hit by an approaching avalanche. It begins at the very peak of the mountain, but is startlingly quick to reach him. He decided to film the approach, as he believed that he was at a safe distance. He was wrong. Shimon ducked down into a small hole as the snow rushed by, and struggled to get air for several seconds. Luckily, he and everyone else on the trek made it through the incident without major injuries.
But yeah, fortunately the actual bulk of the landslide didn't hit me, or the bulk of the avalanche. It was just this kind of cloud of powder and kind of light snow that covered me, so it was only a few inches of snow.